one of those folks running around like a crazy person yesterday. Welcome to the Human-Centered Design Part 2 workshop. We've got all the teams of Human-Centered Design, well, designers, over here to lead you through. Who was able to make it to yesterday's Part 1 session? Okay, great. That's good. We are back. Awesome. Clearly, yesterday was awesome. I was in too. So today we've got round 2 for you guys. Just to reintroduce, we've got Sergio, Jane, Tyler, Ryan, and Carly. They're going to be leading you today. Yeah, so please turn your attention over to them and hear what they have to say.
All right. So thanks to all of you who are coming back for round 2. We'll throw up this quick slide at the end just with our information on it. But feel free, like we said yesterday, to get in touch with us beyond the scope of this workshop. So let's start right away with hands-on exercise. We're going to try to get visuals. So draw a portrait of the person sitting across from you. On your Post-it, you have 30 seconds. Nice.
You have 15 seconds. As quickly as possible. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Time's up. Okay, now we want you to give that portrait to the person you drew it of.
Yeah,
As a gift.
Put your name on it. Put it on yourself.
Alright, awesome. So yesterday we tried to drill in, or drive home this idea of getting visual fast. And there were people that said that they weren't good drawers or that they weren't artists. This proves that all of you know how to draw and you're all artists. So congratulations. So we're going to jump into a little bit of a longer exercise and we'll bring it a little bit closer to home. This time we want you to sketch out a challenge that you're actually dealing with in your own work. So whether you have a social enterprise and you're dealing with this, some type of challenge with your social enterprise work, or whether you're a student and you have a set of interests in a particular challenge that you're drawn to, we want you to actually draw that out, so sketch it. So whether it's a scene or a person, whatever that looks like, interpret that as you wish. So you have 60 seconds for this one.
Sketch your problem on a Post-it. 60 seconds. $45 seconds.
No words.
$30 seconds. $10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, time.
Okay, we recognize that could have been a little bit tough, a little bit challenging. It was supposed to be. All right, let's share. We're just going to take 3 to kind of, in the interest of time, let's take 3 people and share what kind of challenge they're working through in your work. Yeah.
So I study community development action, and that involves working with community development. And I feel like one of the biggest problems is, so you have the funders, and then you have the community that you're trying to impact. And a lot of the times, the funder, the source of funding is a grant, not a gift, which means it comes with strings attached.
Yeah.
So my drawing is a funder, and then the arrow is going this way, and then you have money, and then you have your community. And ideally, the cycle should end there, but then there's this arrow going back to the community to the funder, which is what the strings attached do.
Like reporting and monitoring
Reporting,
evaluation.
whatever the agenda of the funder might be,
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. Who else? Would anyone else like to share? Okay. Yeah, in the back.
My organization works with pretty risk young people, so these are ages 16 to 24. They've been incarcerated. Vast majority are actively in gangs, substance abuse issues, teen parents. And one of the key issues problems that we're facing is just perceptions of them and of the issues, and focusing in on like them having committed crimes rather than looking at the systemic issues leading to why they committed the crimes.
Okay. So how did you draw that?
A TV with a news anchor and like drugs and gun and
Okay.
stacks of money.
Amazing. Great. So you can see that sort of getting visual fast actually helps us convey our ideas a lot more clearly, and then it invites other people in to give sort of feedback on what we're doing. Right? It's a lot easier to get feedback on a drawing than it is to get feedback on like a report or something like that. So let's just jump right in. This is just to recap what we did yesterday. This slide should look familiar to you guys. We were working within a 3-step process. So the human-centered design process can be represented in a variety of ways, but this is kind of the 3 steps that we introduced to you guys yesterday. This is the framework we'll be working within today. So first is inspiration. This is how we gather our information about the user group that we're designing for. Then ideation, so what have we learned, how do we synthesize that, and then how do we bring that into creating a viable concept that we can then prototype in the iteration phase, which is the final phase, where you actually build that and then test that with the users. Someone's getting a photo. Okay, so today what are we doing? Do you want to set this up?
So today is going to be mostly about application. Yesterday we kind of went through this process really quickly, and something that we can all relate to, but we want to now bring it into something more real-world problem. So today's going to be all about application. We want to actively build on each other's thoughts, so we want you guys to keep pushing each other. And we're going to advocate for all of you as we go through this process today. Start thinking about how you could integrate this into the work that you're doing outside of here. We're all here to help guide that, so if you have questions, please pull one to the side, and we really want you to start strategizing that today as well.
So this is actually a direct response to a lot of feedback you guys gave us yesterday. So let's jump right in. So the design challenge we're going to deal with today involves our user, Jane. Jane is a friend of ours, but she's also from a particular part of the United States in a community where they struggle a lot with getting fresh food. So we're going to hear more about her story and sort of think about her as our user today and who we're designing for. So to do that, I am going to sort of interview Jane, and then we're going to open up the floor for you guys to actually interview Jane. So throw out some questions for our user and get to know her and her problem context, and then we'll start going through design. Alrighty. Hello? Okay, so the first question, obvious question is if you can tell us a bit more about your community and where you're from and kind of the challenges that you guys have there.
So I lived in a small town, tiny town, of 4,000 during the school year and 2,000 in the summers. And so we had one grocery store with a very small produce section and a Dollar General that was not always stocked. And so I was a high school math teacher, and this is us just between where I lived and the nearest city, and it was just a stretch of land, and we were watching rockets that day, but pretty rural generally. Like I could walk a block and be in a farm from my house, and yeah, that's what it was.
So sometimes we characterize these areas as food deserts, and essentially I guess that means that you have trouble getting a hold of fresh food. So what are some of the workarounds or hacks that you guys have found?
So it was about 20 minutes to a decent grocery store, and so I had a garden in my backyard, and so one day I actually loaded up horse manure and started a garden in my backyard, a raised bed garden. My friends had goats, and that's where I get my fresh goat milk, and so we actually ate healthier because we were growing our own food. But some summers we would have a bumper crop and have a ton of food, and other summers we would have to travel a lot more to get our food.
Okay, great. So I just want to open it up now to everyone else. And just to frame it, the problem of sort of food justice and food sovereignty, maybe you've heard those terms, is obviously a huge topic of debate and dialogue in the United States right now. And that's the kind of the social challenge that we want you guys to kind of tackle today. And so we'd like to open it up for you guys to get to know Jane as a user of that experience and learn more about the problem. So you can ask any question you'd like. We're going to write it up on the board, and then we're going to get Jane to respond. So do you have any questions for her?
How many farms are in that area?
Well,
That have produce?
that's a great question because it was in the middle of horse country. And so there were a lot of farms, but a lot of them didn't have food. They had horses.
Okay.
So none that I knew of specifically or that I went to.
So what were the reasons why, there was only one grocery store?
Because, well, the grocery store wasn't able to maintain enough stock, and so you couldn't just shop there. Because it was such a small town, everybody would have to buy 2 meals or more a week there in order to maintain it, but it was, if you're already going out, you can find cheaper groceries elsewhere. So if you're already driving that half hour, you're gonna buy all your produce or all your meat while you're out. A what? Yeah, so it was like 20 minutes to half an hour to get to the nearby grocery stores, except for this store, but we didn't go to that store enough to support it, if that makes sense.
Are there health issues related to lack of access to food?
That's a really big question because that's a long-term thing. I mean, the part of Kentucky I lived in had the largest number of dialysis clinics in the country, I think.
Okay.
So maybe that might contribute. Did you have a question?
So, I mean, I guess I'm trying to understand what other alternatives there are. Is that the question you're trying to answer?
Yeah, so I think the reason I asked about the workarounds and the hacks and things is because Jane and I have been talking about this particular issue in her community, which I think is salient. It might not be directly relevant to all of the industries or markets that we work with, but I think is particularly interesting because when you think about, when you ask Jane that question and she's like, yeah, like we had ways of, like I was able to eat goat's milk, which now we think of as really chic, but then was, a way of sort of like working around this issue. So you get insight into the behaviors, that she got very used to doing just because, there was no alternative. So yeah, like getting to know the alternatives is definitely a question, but right now I think we want to get to know the problem context. So what is the experience for Jane as a user of this?
Are there any other people around that also do the gardening?
Yeah, quite a number of my friends had backyard gardens. Like one friend had an entire acre garden, and then another friend had the neighbor's yard garden as well, because he was like, it's my back 40, go ahead and take an acre. And so she had an acre as well. Yeah.
I just don't understand, the challenge I'm having is the 20 to 30 minutes is too far for you to go on a regular basis?
Or like if I forgot baking soda, I might not, so if on Friday I didn't stop on the way home from work, I would hopefully not drive the half an hour it is, like 20 to 30 miles back to the city over the weekend.
So the challenge is not that you can't get access to the food, it's that you need fill-ins or last minute to get something when you spontaneously need something.
Yeah,
That's the challenge.
exactly. It's not easy to get to food from where I lived. Yeah.
So would the problem be access, or would it be the quality of food that you're getting to certain
I mean, the closest store was a normal grocery store, but it was a little bit more expensive, and so it wasn't the best quality, but it wasn't terrible. You could get almost anything you needed, but it was a smaller grocery store as well, if that makes sense. Like you know how some Shaws have 1,000, or some Star Markets around here have 1,000 different options for one thing, and some only have one. It was kind of like that. It was the one option store. Yeah.
Have you thought about, or do people, or put it another way, if I have a problem, I live in an apartment in New York, I can go to the person next door and borrow a cup of sugar. Have you thought about the idea of setting it up so that each person has a certain minimal store of stuff, so that your next door neighbor, sort of like a network effect?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Well, so another thing about this city was it was a dry city. And so we couldn't buy alcohol there or like in any of the immediately surrounding areas. And so so sometimes we did have a sort of, we developed sort of network where you'd like just kind of send out a group text or like a phone call like, hey, do you have any bourbon? Because it was Kentucky, so.
Let's take a couple more questions, then we've got to move on. Yeah.
So you said the majority of these farms that surrounded you were horse farms. Were these big enough to maybe equip, or would they be equipped to have other animals and like potentially be able to grow more vegetables in the grounds and in the backyard? And like, what was the nature of these horse farms? Were these like race horsing and like sport horses, or like more like backyard animals?
That's a really great question that I don't have an answer to. Like as a citizen living in that town, I didn't have access to who owned what land. Like I knew who owned most of the land, you know, because he wanted to support community, so he kept buying farms or whatever, letting people live there. But there is a lot of resources, and then occasionally we'd see cows, but I don't even know who, like, how do I find out who owns that? Like, I might ask my best friend's mom, who's lived there forever and knows the entire county, but I didn't, and so I couldn't be like, hey, can we use your land? Like, I didn't know those people well enough.
Interesting. Okay, one more quick question. Oh, sorry. Yeah, one more. Let's do the back. I know you guys have had your hand up. Yeah.
How big of a population are you trying to address?
So in my particular town, it was about 2,000. But there's also even people scattered around in that, like, so we had a county high school. So the entire county was like that, and that's probably 20 or 30,000, but there were 2,000 in the particular tiny community I lived in.
Okay, so I think we're going to move on, but Jane will be floating the room, as you guys are designing and ideating and prototyping, and she'll be, there to answer questions and give feedback and stuff like that. So we're going to move right now into the actual design process and get you guys going on some hands-on work. But I just wanted to recap that by saying, we learned yesterday that human-centered design is all about sort of the designer actually not being the expert and recognizing that the expert is the person that's closest to the problem, so the user, right? So Jane's kind of our expert today. Like I said, feel free to go to her, if you have questions. But pretend we're all going into Jane's community and we're faced with this problem, and what solution are we going to come to help her out? So I'm going to let Sergio take over from here and introduce the how might we questions that we're going to develop to frame this problem.
All right, so yesterday a lot of you were asking questions about tools to take with you. We covered one this morning, the visual tool. Even though it seems silly, it gets people like moving and thinking visually. This next tool is just called the How Might We tool. So we have questions that you ask, little snippets that came from what Jane had said. Let's think of, throw out, how would you phrase her problem? How might we ... Anybody want to phrase, anybody think they can phrase her challenge that way? Go ahead.
How might we give people easier access to healthcare? And I'm not even sure if it has to be healthcare, or access
To affordable. Okay. Can we be more specific? What people?
live in the same town.
Live in what town?
Wilmore.
Okay. I'm going to spell it wrong, but it'll be all right. Anyone else? Give people access in Wilmore.
Give 2,000 people in the Wilmore community easier and
Easier how? Anybody could throw something out. Just keep going.
it's easier access.
Close?
Closer. Yeah.
Closer?
Less effort.
Okay.
Less time gathering food.
Cheaper? Less time? Faster? Anyone? So how might we give people in Wilmore access? How might we give people in Wilmore cheaper access to food, closer access to food? How might we give 2,000 people in Wilmore, what else?
Also, what types of food?
Yep.
Where, I mean,
There you
are we
go.
talking fresh food? Do they know how to cook it? Do they know how to, you know, seasonal?
Yep.
Non-perishables?
Maybe diverse, like a bigger variety of food.
Okay, so variety. So how might we increase variety? Okay, good.
How might we do it in a sustainable way?
Okay, say more about that. How do you mean that?
I don't know, just throw out there. But I think it's more like, the town would be able to rely on system, type of operation so that they will always have, fresh food and easily accessible. They don't have to, there's no, I don't know, just generally sustainable.
Maybe like systemized.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Or rather solve the root problem.
Good.
I think when it comes to reliable and efficient. She mentioned there's surplus some years and shortage some years of, crop. So finding a way to balance that.
Okay, we'll pause there. Sorry, we'll keep going. But you notice how each one of these can be a separate statement, right? How might we give people in Wilmore access to, get food closer? That could be a challenge, right? How might we give them more reliable food, right, on a consistent basis? How might we, I put without driving, that's specific, right? So those are ways to frame your problem. So we went over questions. So we're going to next go into groups. You want to keep groups 4, right? We'll stick to 4. So 2 seconds, if you can make sure you're at a table with 4 people, or just make sure you circle chairs with 4 people, and then we'll go over the next step. So go. And if you're ready with 4 people, what you're going to do is think about, try to keep it to 4. Try to keep it to 4. Okay, and then take, I'm going to time you. Take, 2 minutes to talk within your team and decide on, 3 how might we statements for your team. And try to be specific. Think of 2 to 3 how might we statements in your team.
One more?
Think the 2 to 3 how might means that you want to focus on.
So 2 to 3, how might be statements for your group?
It doesn't have to be all encompassing, it can be specific. It can be something you get excited about. Maybe you get excited about friends, maybe you get excited about
For statements.
neighbors.
I'm Anna. Olive, nice to meet you. Anna.
Maybe people floating
So we are
on
coming
how might
at
we.
this from different disciplines. There's a couple
At least 3 how might we for your
from
team.
business school, from college. These are just a group that we kind of formulated throughout the year, and we've been doing this workshop. We're invited
And I think the reason why I asked that question at the end about the horse farms is because it sounds like those are Carolina areas.
Do you have a card, and I can send you an email and
who already know how to take care of animals, and then there are also for friends and people in the community that have gardening experience, but maybe are limited by the size of their backyard.
We're going to send a mass email out with just some of the resources that we use to run out.
That would be perfect, because I'm working on programming right now for it.
Creating, building a green
Where is this located?
or something, and
Okay.
We're contracted for high-tech startup.
fresh, like a specific agriculture.
I understand.
You have about a minute.
Yeah.
So Carly and I, we just got funding to kind of scale this up around the Harvard campus next year to infuse it into. We're really interested in human-centered design for systems level change, especially in education and government. So we're going to scale this up hopefully a little more frequently.
Would it be open to us?
We're still figuring out the logistics.
Well,
Yeah, I'll contact you.
and it's,
My-
you can't figure it's like smarter in the city.
Okay.
You have about 30 seconds.
Okay. My name is Tyler. I'll definitely reach out to you.
Yeah, thanks.
So you're saying, smaller groups of,
All right, time. Make sure you have your how might we. I know it's fast, but we're gonna keep it moving just so we make sure we get through everything. All right, everyone ready? What's your? Yeah. Say one how might we for the group. Just say your how might we.
Our how might we question is, how might we understand the exact requirement for their perishable as well as non-perishable food in quantity?
Great. How might we?
How might we increase access to fresh produce businesses?
Okay.
How might we leverage what town currently have?
Okay. Leverage what the town has. You want to go ahead?
How might we get the
How might we get the food she wants without driving?
Okay. There we go. So we'll go ahead. We'll say one more. Okay. Okay. Great. So those are great examples of the how might we. I know it was rushed. This is tough, but this is what you should do with your problem as well, your specific problem, right? We're giving you all tools that you can use. This is another tool. Moving on to the next one. Brainstorming rules. Hands up if you've ever looked at these brainstorming rules before. Great. Okay, so these rules, where do they come from? IDEO. They're just a guide, but you're going to brainstorm in your group. So in a minute, just letting you know, you're going to get up. Your group is going to go to one of those boards. You should each have, so right now, grab one of these. You should grab a blank sticky pad and a pen. Don't get up yet. Don't get up yet, right? Post-it note pen. And you're going to go through a brainstorming session. We're going to give you a few minutes. This will tell you the rules. Defer judgment, right? There is no stupid idea. There is no, don't think about what's realistic, right? Maybe what she needs is a magic food box that she just opens it and the fresh produce is always there, right? It doesn't have to be within the realm of possibility, right? So it could be about anything. Encourage wild ideas with your group. We talk about building on others. So listen, don't speak over others. Listen to the next person. Let's say they say magic box, and what's another one after the magic box? Well, what's another idea?
A service that brings it to your house.
See, there you go. And she is building on what I said. That was not planned. So that's the way it goes. Stay focused on the topic. So write your how might we on the board. So as crazy as you're getting, you stay focused. So one person at a time. Try to be visual. You can be visual. You were earlier. And it's about quantity, right? As fast as you can. No stupid ideas. Go for quantity. You're competing with other groups in terms of number, right? That's what we're doing. So pick up your pen. Go to a board with your team and write your how might we, and you will have a few minutes. We'll tell you. We'll have 5 minutes, but so run. Go quickly.
Okay.
Write your how might we up top. Write your how might we.
We write with our how might we. The numbers with the town.
You don't have time for group assessments. Just write. All right, 5 minutes starting
Go for it.
now.
So
Go.
on Post-its, and then everybody type them up, but as you're typing them, now you should stop, so do you have Post-its? Yeah. Do you want it? Here you go. So maybe we can use that of it.
I don't see post-its yet. There should be post-its up there.
Okay, so divide into small groups,
Don't think, just do.
Doesn't necessarily have to be violent.
One idea per post-it. Keep putting them up there.
Yeah, so that, yeah. Okay, yeah, okay. Kind of, yeah, that would be like a shared, yeah, I like that. Yeah. Shared. You come up with solutions. Okay, shared service, yeah. Way better than
Other key thing is say this.
Okay, I'll drop this one.
Continuously building up.
So then maybe we can like.
So yours maybe what are like you shared it one day a week.
Like start already? Yeah.
Yeah, like, maybe, have other houses, one phone supply, like if you, they're growing. If there was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Say like, we guarantee to order, purchase this much. So, some kind of. I don't know what.
So is this just coming up? Yeah, so we're coming So another idea I have is like, so instead of this, we could say,
I'm gonna start this.
yeah, like growing dudes or something. Yeah, well, like, I mean, yeah.
But
Can you draw what that looks like? Or just
Another idea would be farmer's market.
yeah.
Oh, so another idea is like, we have like outdoor and indoor for the winter season.
Okay. 3 minutes.
And also like, a pickup shop.
I guess
And like goes to the farms and also
and then distributes it on like paper, like a paper, like a newspaper.
like why is why really you know like there's
Keep going. Every idea on the post-it. Put every idea on a post-it.
expand skills, go up.
This is like someone in here to create a
Comes around kind of like a distributor who does the farm. I'm thinking that in where I'm from in Wisconsin is more even just like goes to agriculture. So what happens is to grow the food and then the farms deliver crops. So like they're irrigation and then every meat. So and they're health insurance. Yeah, build on it. That's perfect. That's what you're doing. Building on it.
I like that idea.
Keep going.
Oh,
More ideas?
Yeah. You have any ideas yet? Go for it. What's wrong?
we could distribute it because people are constantly
Also, putting them on this post-it notes is going to be really helpful later because we like move them around.
Oh, you got to put it on.
Also, pictures are helpful to make it stick on your brain.
Oh, are we not supposed to? No, it's fine. Okay.
Awesome. Grab us if you need anything.
I like that.
So what is your how much?
So how about I'm gonna do the one resources, so like so like a co-op.
So what do you guys think?
Shared services. Yeah.
Is that what these are? I would encourage you, put them on post-its, put them on pictures too. I like the boards.
It's like your ideas on a post-it, your pictures. Like this is like yeah, and then having
I would say you can like an app, share an app where people can post.
Oh yeah. Okay, so you.
I like the current resources, so like school buses, public transportation as a way to deliver.
Yeah, kind of like potluck or another one. Potluck, one. Yeah. Oh, I have an idea. What about on that idea? Like potluck, one person is like, yeah, exactly. Per day.
Get crazy ideas.
Like, so you put in your order.
At this stage, like think of something. One of the ideas back there, I said like drones, using drones to like deliver food around the community.
Like a local wellness.
All right, we have 30 more seconds. More ideas. For your last time, every post-it, every idea on a post-it.
Are all your ideas on post-its?
Every idea on the post-it. Get those last ideas out.
All right. Can you talk me like this one?
You got 50 seconds. Last idea.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, time. All right, everyone. All right. I know everyone's excited. Now what you're going to do is make sure every idea is on a post-it. You have 3 minutes to cluster them. Cluster them however you like. This is tool 2. Cluster your ideas. Organize them in every like. You have 3 minutes to go. If you're sneaky, you can also add more ideas. Cluster your ideas.
Like interrupting me like that.
You can look at the board and see examples of clustered ideas.
I was like, wait, I'm not supposed to. Yeah, right? I'll just leave food on the bar. Yeah. Okay, so let's start to cluster your ideas. Favorite ideas. So share apps so people can figure out what they all have. Yeah, what they need at the table and and then using either like an Uber or the bus. Okay. So here we have like basically break them like back to them, and here it's like we're still going out for food. Like you still have yeah. Where would it come up? Like where what percentage every day?
2 minutes to cluster the rest of your ideas.
That would be like restaurant delivery. Yeah, because we have the farmers market. Sorry, what's the code? Actually, like what do we get a code for? Like 1%. Oh, and then little warehouses. Something like that. Okay. This is like so like sharing yes, please. Actually, that's a great idea. Please do. So can you like farmers bring stuff to warehouses? So you create what is it?
Where farmers
Bringing it. Yeah, delivery.
1 minute left. Cluster your ideas. If you're done, add more ideas. Make sure you have some crazy ideas.
Within this has been a community. Yeah. Community based. Making a new store. Would it make sense also to partner with the bigger, like it's a local like a grocery store, so that way they're like, because it sounds like one of Jane's needs was like how to use it short-term quick, and like it's late night, she just like available, so you have because that like
Good, how are you?
well, the idea was throw the food on the and again, once it's reached a village farm,
All right, time. All right, everyone, bring it in. All right, everyone. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. All right, bring it into the center. Now what you're going to do is you're going to look at all the ideas. Every person gets 2 votes. They vote for the one that they think is the most possible, the idea, and the one they think is craziest and coolest and they get most excited about. So everyone has 2 votes. You put a dot on the post-it. All right. So you have 2 minutes to vote for your the favorite idea, the craziest one, and one you think is the most realistic. Go.
You can get it done.
2 dots. Yeah.
So if you guys voted, you know you each vote. So you should. So we'll put that. Yeah.
So the idea is like, you know how, like, and how, like, researching or whatever, like, you got it delivered to your home. There's like a paperboy that comes in and like, in a newspaper. What I propose is having like, one, you know, there are 2,000 people.
You have 1 minute,
I don't know
1
what the
minute.
model is for like certain like small towns, but like however many distributors that you would have for. And so you're sharing your no, it's like however the same amount to distribute for. Yeah, this one was like, so, it's kind of the idea. It would be a little complicated because they would say like, what they want.
For the dot, your favorite, the dot
It
is
is
great.
actually, we don't know if it's like just making it easier for people. So, yeah. Do you have apps too that like have that like a shag cities and something that I don't know.
30 seconds.
Everyone's like able to.
Right, have you all decided? Do you live in Boston? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's just think if I used to have
5, 4, 3, 2, and time. Alright, everyone. So we've just gone through the ideation phase. Now we're going to talk about prototyping. Microphone prototyping? Or you? Yes. So we have a resident prototyper.
So one thing that's really passionate, that I'm really passionate about is early childhood math education. I'm a math teacher by day. And so one toy I've been working on is a truck that has an electronic circuit on the top, and where kids can mess with the electronic circuit, and it's like they put it in one way, it goes forward, the other way, it goes backwards. So I just built up, in 7 minutes last night, with an Altoid tin that I had laying around the house, and a magnet, I just built up a quick prototype for people to play with, like, to put out in front of my friend. So, like, one of the really important points about prototyping is it's low fidelity, meaning it's ugly, so that people aren't afraid to tell you what's wrong with it, or what they don't like, quickly, because the more more things that you find out they don't like, the faster you can do it. So we're going to launch into prototyping now. We got about 5 minutes to do it.
And something that's really great about low fidelity, a conversation I just had over here is they're thinking about an app and already what is this going to look like. The great thing about low fidelity prototyping is each one of them can prototype in 5 minutes what they think it's going to look like. You're not looking for an answer yet, and then they could put each one of these in front of a user and get feedback on each one. These are just very, very quick prototypes.
So, oh, sorry. On the screen was actually, as Tyler was talking about an app, funnily enough, a lo-fi prototype of app screens. So this is someone just sketched these out really quickly, and then you could actually cut these out and overlay them. And then if the person didn't like the sequence of how they go through the app, you could just quickly switch them around and say, do you like this now? Okay, and then the second slide I think we have, shows another array of lo-fi prototypes. The one on the right, can anyone guess what that is? It's actually a lo-fi prototype of a refrigerator design. So this just gives you an idea of how basic and how interesting and how sort of like low cost and low risk these things can be. So we're going to give you guys, 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Anything else anyone wants to add before we
Nope, it's all about simulating the user experience. So try to take yourself out of it's not about, standard operating procedures and instructions on how you would do it. It's what would simulate what the user would go through. How would it work?
And so, like, our brains are amazing. You draw a box with a little circle at the bottom, and we all automatically know it's an iPhone. So if you're doing an app, in like 10 seconds, you got that. So go for it. I think I would push everybody in your team to do their own prototype in the next 5 minutes.
So either, it's up to you guys, right? You voted, so if there's a clear favorite among the team, galvanize around that. If there's not, steal your favorite. If you want to work with someone else, I would encourage you to take the favorites, put them together, and attempt to work together. That's the point.
Yeah, and you can literally use any material in this room.
Yeah, minus someone else's codes or things.
So is the favorite the feasible idea or the crazy idea?
That's up to you.
This is
All
supposed to
right,
be very
so you have
ambiguous,
5
so if you
minutes.
want to prototype the
Go with
crazy,
your team.
because the great thing is with
Okay,
Go, you might
5 minutes.
prototype the crazy thing, put it in front of someone and say, oh, this reminds me of how you could create an app out of this, so, or take a look, I'll already prototype it, you can prototype anything. Got it.
Cool. So there's only one. Okay. What do we think? We could either all go with that. I think since we all had a consensus on that, and then maybe we can like incorporate ideas that we had, like get some really interesting ideas about the system, maybe you can like put that into play with just like, incorporate that somehow into how like you distribute, and how distribution can like, yeah. So we all just draw
Prototype?
or no, we can use the board now. We're just gonna like mix it back.
Yeah, so I think, so how do you want to do it? The person is like, you didn't stop.
I like it.
Another thing to think about too is the cigarettes. Oh, like what's like yeah, what's
You have 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. Prototype, prototype, build, build, build.
By not allowing that. Or it's a higher cost. Great cost. No, you would be, the delivery would be way less than the amount of gas. Right. The amount of gas for driving, parking, shopping. Well, we could also like have, let's say there was a bench. Okay, so what I propose is something with an administration system like what we're going to be able to do. So
You have 1 minute. 1 minute.
I don't know much about distributors like so they have to get there. So it could be like an alternative, or you could also do like there'll be a lot of logistics work out how to buy the company, yeah, to pick it up. There's a couple drivers. So that's like Israel and yeah, and I think I want to say that I want sugar, right? But I can offer finished and so oh, I need sugar, but I need butter, so I need garlic. Yeah, you can just I think that could be like a side thing to
yeah, you know,
The main thing is
the main
not
thing is
vegetarian.
yeah.
So
All right, that's time. Time. All right, everyone, let's bring it in. Let's bring it in. I know you're feeling. All right. All right.
I also took out the board.
Everybody, we have our user Jane. Hands up. All right, everybody, let's come back to center. So who wants to share their prototype with our user Jane?
Who wants to walk me through this?
They laughed, so that's it. They said yes. Yes.
All right, walk me through it. Where's your prototype? Wow, it's
Come on, everybody, come over and watch their prototype. It's on the table, so come watch it. Try to stay quiet and listen to the team.
All right. So, how might we create a network to feed 2,000 people? And we came up with this idea that first starts with our wanted flyers that will go everywhere. Wanted fun food people. Okay. Which would create a buzz around getting 30 volunteers to dedicate time to start a community, what is it called? Community circle, a neighborhood circle. And then these circles will then attack different initiatives. So one initiative is bento service, which is like a food delivering service for people who can't actually leave their homes. And then there's another committee, kind of a neighborhood circle, that would think about the accessibility and Skype people into the meetings who probably don't want the high maintenance of going to all these meetings all the time. And another committee which would work on the distribution and how to get a bartering kind of app started for this community. And also a planning committee / walking committee who will plan all the neighborhood events, but also walk to different homes to let them know that this is happening so that some people don't get lost in the sauce. We're also FaceTiming some people.
And these circles are actually like really nice, colorful circles that are gonna be somewhere by City Hall.
Okay, well,
A round of applause for the group.
I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna give you 3 things like.
Okay. And everybody look at the on the board has, there's 3, this is a framework for feedback. This is another tool you can take with you. What excites you? What concerns you? And how would you build on that? So not only criticizing, but saying, you know, I like this, I might not like this, but I would take this, you know, this is next. So go ahead, Jane.
So the things that really, I love this. The things that really excite me, and you're gonna get that a lot. I love this. You start with that, and you're like, so I love the bento service, like, because I always run out of like baking powder or honey, and I can't bake without those things. And like sometimes I just really want Rice Krispie treats. So I love that like concierge service almost. And I do love this bartering thing. Like if I could set up a bartering system where I just like drop in real quick, like, oh, I need these 3 things, and somebody else is running to the store, and then the next time I go to the store, I know what I need to pick up for everyone else. I love that part. What concerns me? The committee, like committees are where good ideas go to die, and where like they create like this extra work that like you have to get everybody in the same place to do these things, and like that's just not feasible for my tiny community and our different schedules. So I would maybe build on this, and like maybe could we combine like our bartering system and our bento system, like to do something where there's always like every day there's somebody in the afternoon that's running the store, and I just know if I need something, like I can drop it in, like. Because that would be awesome. Like, oh, there's a 4 o'clock run to Kroger. Like, who's gonna bring back and like, here's how I pay ahead by Venmo or something. And we kind of, yeah, right? So like we start, yeah, something like that. That's kind of reminiscent of something we kind of did with my friends. Like I knew who to text. Like, oh, I think she does her shopping on Friday. Like, she might run out. So thank you.
All right, round of applause for Jane. Thank you very much, Jane. So we just wanted to, now you can go back to your seats. We don't have time to go through every group. We wish we did. We wanted to give you time based on feedback we gave yesterday. to work on your specific idea. So so on the screen is a list of tools that we've talked about today. There's little tiny tools, but wanted you to pair up, pick one other person, share your challenge with them, and think about, to talk to them and think about, how would I take one of these tools and use it for my problem?
So think about the challenge that we introduced in the individual exercise earlier today. You don't have to use that challenge, but let's say you did. And think about, pretend this is like your new toolkit as a human-centered designer. These may not look like tools, but these are the toolkits these are the tools that we use every day in our work. So think about how you could apply this tool to that challenge, and we just want you to kind of have some time to think through that aloud with your partner.
Yep, so pick a partner. You have 8 minutes, go. 4 minutes each.
Yeah, I was kind of distracted. I wasn't really paying attention. I wish we had to use the first part of it. I think it would have been more helpful to have had a better sense of but even still, being here for the time of work, the thing, I think I'm approach to communities. So, I think the help idea is really useful because you're looking at the not serving you, and even though I guess we weren't really sure about the how big we were kind of distracted, if I stick to that specific question, especially as a brainstorming process. I think that in this is in terms of the story, it would have been nice if we had a dialogue between us. It was a little disruptive, just because I think oh well, you should really be writing on the post-it notes, and then oh maybe you can everybody can sort of post-it notes in different places later, and I was yeah, I don't really want to think about this right now, and I don't really so I think in terms of brainstorming, it's nice to have your own ideas, but sometimes talking out loud and talking together on one side, having that dialogue, I feel
Just give me a
actually that makes me think of how, yesterday we were trying to improve the customer experience, and it's oh, that sounds like a pretty simple problem, but I could have come up with a million problems just for how do I improve my partner's ability to get but I think that so I think yeah, our probably change different homemaking,
Yeah,
even though I we're still close to
I wish, so I come from like academic medicine, and I wish that like
We have about 4 minutes.
we have entire walls that need to point the kids actually right on there. So we should use the purple advantage.
I find that like I'm constantly like shocked out immediately. No, it's still me hey, like, why don't you give me a second to like ask the question, or like, sure, like I'm not, I'm not a PhD. I don't necessarily know everything there is to know about this issue. But like, my innocent question, my innocent question about, it's like maybe well, obviously not, but maybe like they should in a second. She brings up an interesting point there. She said that, I can say why that's wrong, like that's what you think of a different issue.
But can you strategize how you
that would be tough. I feel like I need to like create a social enterprise just to ask that problem. Like how do we improve like culture in an academic sense? How do we improve like the discussions that we have?
and in its foundation?
Should we just like there's very sea level hierarchy. Yeah, and I think it's also very like personnel driven. A lot of people in here are very collaborative and stuff not Japanese. But I think like it might be tough to like apply this format
That's something I
right, because I think like it's easy for us to have documents where we're all open for judgment, but like everyone is so judgmental and I like swear No, this is great stuff. I'm not in, or I studied, my major was microbiology. I have a hard science Oh, no, I'm not in business school now. I look like a business school. Yeah, but I like don't have any background in business. I've never done an exercise like I was also like business Yeah, this is like, it's so funny that this is just like.
All right, everyone, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. I know you're excited to keep talking after, and we're going to break in a few minutes. We just want to end on time, be respectful of everyone's time. Thank you very much for joining us. We have a few things we're going to cover. Do you want to take it away? Do you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think that brings us to the close of the two-day or two-part kind of workshop. And today was actually kind of an experiment and a prototype for us in terms of workshop structure. And so, we wanted to be responsive to what you guys told us yesterday and really try to apply what we had been learning. So, I guess it's a good sign that the conversations wanted to keep going just now. So we'd love to just hear general feedback right now from you guys about where you're at and how you think you can take this forward. So what kind of tools will you take forward? What are the challenges you're coming up against with this process? Does it feel real to you? Does it feel like something you can apply? Anything? Yeah.
I definitely think that I'll be able to apply this. I think I need to be more comfortable thinking outside the box and not being so rigid
that drives a lot of the way I think, but I need to be more open.
Yeah, cool, cool.
I like the part that we interview the user, because many times we go to try to solve a social problem, say, oh, I know what you need, so no, you listen to me. This
It's
is
so
what you
true. Yeah, I think a lot of this sometimes people say like, it feels like common sense. Like it feels like, why wouldn't you ask people? But as someone in a design school, I mean, I can tell you that typically, you know, and it doesn't have to be sort of any kind of like big architectural design, but even if you're just like in a room, in a, you know, corporate boardroom or something, designing a new strategy, you know, typically it's not about the end user, right? It's about sort of like, what is the strategy gonna look like? Is it gonna look good for us? Is it right for the market we're working with, you know, or whatever? So, yeah.
I think so much of my training is around engaging new communities in a manner, but like we study that from a very academic and research perspective. So whenever you want to engage with the community, collaborate with them, but like do it. That's just the only way I know how, like to conduct research with them. I feel like this is such a good alternative approach to get them more engaged, like just doing it in a visual way. I feel like approaching them in an indirect sense might be a little intimidating to them as well, and then you know you're just like restricting them to you're asking a question and then they're answering it. But I feel like with this, so much of the emphasis is on feedback. So like you draw and then they can. I feel like if we were visually, they would feel like that would be truly more collaborative, and they would feel like they would participate and contribute a lot more.
Right, and I think, you know, both people have a role to play in that process, right? When you're getting feedback, and it's good to think about, you know, the role of both the user and the designer in that moment. Yeah.
I think, admittedly, I wasn't at the first workshop, but I think it would help us if we had, I don't know if your slides, but there's a crib sheet. So that as we're doing it, we can say, oh yeah, or as we're doing the brainstorming, you know, these are the 5 things that are a method that we're trying to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, Tyler's taking notes on things that, you know, you guys are saying
It
that
could
we can
even
actually
be
take
crib
forward, so
sheets
that's great.
on Post-its, you know,
Yeah.
we can do each, or maybe half a page or whatever.
Yeah, and just to build on that, you know, that was something that came up yesterday about sort of this resource list, and we're putting that together, you know, later today, and we'll be sending that out, I think, through maybe you guys' emails that you gave us, or through the app or something.
So if you did not get an email, if you could put your contact information in, if you want to just stick it up on this wall on your way out, we're going to send a mass email out with free resources.
Because there are a zillion, and just the tools we introduced today are like a fraction of what's out there.
They're just a few that we picked.
Yeah.
And excuse me if I missed this somewhere in the app, because I actually didn't download the app, but it would be good to know a little bit of your backgrounds and who you guys are, because I don't think you guys, again, maybe I missed this, but I don't know if you guys introduced yourselves in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean,
actually,
I
or
don't think we did.
No.
kind of
Yeah,
like a little bit of your
just
experience in doing this, because like a lot of this stuff is like, oh yeah, you know, I've gone through some of this stuff. I didn't completely know it was called human-centered design, right? But like,
Yeah.
in my head, I'm thinking to myself like, so who are you guys, and what role do you guys play in this, and where do you play this all day? You know, so it's just out of curiosity, I think it's kind of really nice to know who the presenters are and what you guys are doing related to this stuff. So.
Yeah, no, happy to do that. I think we were worried about eating up time when we first started, but yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
We can do that now. So my name is Tyler Samsek. I've been working in education for about 10 years. I've worked in juvenile correctional facilities and mental health hospitals. I finished a minor in education program at Harvard Graduate School of Education last year. I did an internship with IDEO this summer, and I'm really interested in human-centered design to reframe education systems.
I'm Jane, and my background is mechanical engineering and math education, and I have always been interested in design, and specifically like this last summer I was with Tyler, and I did an internship with IDEO to build on.
Ryan?
Oh, sorry. Hi everyone, my name is Ryan. I'm a sophomore at the college, but I interned with IDEO I interned at IDEO with Jane and Tyler over the summer, and I've been bringing in design thinking into my schooling ever since. So I'm working on the design team at Harvard. We use this sort of process to solve a lot of on-campus problems, and I'm also using design thinking to encourage voter registration on campus.
Yeah, I worked in a innovation design firm, and we did these sorts of projects for Fortune 500 companies. And I've been, for about the past 5 years, focused on taking these tools and applying them to startups specifically.
Yeah, I'm actually trained as a cultural anthropologist, and I work primarily in East Africa, so I was drawn to human-centered design from the human subject research sort of part of it. I joined a company called Think Place. I was founded in Australia, and we have offices all over the world. I'm actually most associated with our Nairobi office. Yeah, so I've done a lot of these types of workshops and design boot camps and things like that as part of my work through Think Place. And then we also sort of work directly, we're a strategic design consultancy, so we actually work directly with companies and nonprofits and government to sort of redesign at a systemic level, different things that they ask us. And then I'm actually currently full-time at the Harvard Graduate School of Design, so I kind of wear 2 hats while I'm here.
Can I just make one last comment? I would keep this energy that you guys have brought to this workshop, because this weekend has been amazing, but you guys have really great energy that does not make this workshop flat, and it gives the whole conference a little more energy.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
This is design, like if you go to any other workshops like this, there's always this rapid pace, and you kind of like, you're told to like embrace the pace, and so we want to make sure that we sort of embody that energy and that pace as well. Yeah.
Thank you all.
I think that's